Hello there. Welcome to Just the Discs. We talk about Blu-rays here. My name is Brian. And for this episode, we are talking about Gold Ninja Video, which I have brought up here in the past, and which is a label I am very fond of. A label out of Canada, a one-man show run by one Justin Decloux, who I really do still want to have on the channel, but life has been getting in the way of podcasting in a way that I cannot tell you how much. So it's caused me to not be able to do as much of the interview type stuff on the channel that I would like to be doing. Stupid life. But anyway, I like Gold Ninja very much. They are out of Canada. And as I said, Justin Decloux runs the label, and he also is part of a great podcast called The Important Cinema Club. But that's a really great show with him and Will Sloan, and that will come up in a minute here because Will Sloan is part of one of the releases I'm going to talk about. But I'm coming back to talking about Moturn Media, which is a really cool imprint, if you will, a studio of sorts. On the East Coast of this United States, and it is, a fun conglomerate of friends. Chiefly, the two big filmmaking forces are Matt Farley and Charlie Roxburgh, but there's a whole lot of other people involved, Tom Scalzo being one, and there's a bunch. And I only discovered these folks. There's men and women involved. It's a family affair, I only discovered them last year for the first time, and they have been making movies for a really long time, kind of under the radar, lower budget stuff. And so I was really blown away by, I'm going to call out some other Gold Ninja releases. I was blown away by Local Legends last year when I saw it for the first time. This is from 2013. Directed by and starring Matt Farley and Scalzo and other folks that are part of this troupe, and very much is sort of the story of Moturn in a way. It's about Matt Farley himself, doing some stand-up, and he's a songwriter, which he is. He's got like thousands and thousands of songs on Spotify about all kinds of stuff. And so it's him as himself, kind of. And then he and Charlie Roxburgh in this group make movies, and that's sort of all addressed in this film. And it's just like I said at the time, it reminds me of sort of an early Noah Baumbach kind of vibe, just fun hanging out, silly dialogue, but with conviction, if that makes sense. I just really adore their energy and their humor. And so this one's great. This is a really great disc and includes, multiple commentaries, 2 extra features from Moturn, which, one of which I still need to check out. And that's just great. So I love that. That's still available at Gold Ninja. And then the other one that's more recent is Metal Detector Maniac, which I think is just fantastic. A bizarre comedy about 2 professors who are taking a sabbatical and notice this weird metal detector guy in their area, and they sort of form this conspiracy theory about him. It's bizarre and silly, but again, their humor, and it's really great. And this one also includes a bonus feature and commentaries. These Gold Ninja Moturn releases are some of their best releases. There's a great simpatico between Justin and the Moturn folks, and so they really bring it and put together a great package. And so there's even been talk of their most recent movie that's been put out, Magic Spot from last year, may or may not get a Gold Ninja Blu-ray. I'm assuming it will, because now it seems like this is a partnership. But Justin is a fan, and a big facilitator of their work. So this is great. They also have Don't Let the River Beast Get You, which is Charlie Roxburgh, and it's directing, and it's kind of a monster movie with Matt Farley, and it's fun too, and has another extra feature, which is a common thing, and that will apply to this new release. Anyway, let me get to that new release. The new release is Freaky Farley, their film, the Moturn film from 2007. and stars Matt Farley, of course, and he likes to watch. And this is a cool Blu-ray because it is remastering the movie. It's sort of, it's probably presenting it in a new 2K scan from the film's Super 16 negatives. Finally, you can witness the true beauty of Farley Wilder's adventures as he makes friends, finds love, and saves the world from monstrous menaces the human mind cannot comprehend. It says Farley Wilder, Matt Farley, is the town weirdo, a guy who bows to his dictator of a father, Kevin McGee, who's also a regular in these films, and who, during the day, and creeps around his neighborhood at night. He particularly favors spying on attractive young women, like the town's dreamy slumber party girls. But when Farley meets an attractive and bold young woman, Sharon Scalzo from Local Legends, he comes out of his shell and the future starts to look promising. That is, until Farley and his dream girls are confronted with the dark mystery of the spooky Morgantown woods and the secret that's been killing people for decades. And so I don't know what I was expecting from this. I think I was expecting maybe a Moturn slasher movie, which this does sort of have a little bit of that in the last act. But a lot of it is setting up how Farley's life is lame and his dad sucks. He keeps making him dig these holes and then fill the holes in as punishment, and wants him to get a job at the phone company. And generally the people in the neighborhood make fun of him. It's kind of sad. And then he meets this woman and they kind of hit it off and have these little adventures. And then there's something that makes him go crazy, and there's some killing, and it kind of spins out from there. But so it wasn't exactly what I expected, but it is interesting. And if you like Moturn films, this is going to be something you'll definitely enjoy, especially seeing all their cast regulars. I think that's become one of my favorite things, is to come back to these films again and watch those regulars pop up. The background actors, Farley's uncle, I think, or somebody. I mean, there's just lots of fun people in these. So very cool to have this on a nice Blu-ray from Gold Ninja. And of course, as I mentioned, the features are plenty, and that doesn't even really, I mean, it lists them there, but it doesn't really. Let me go through everything you get. Okay, so you have 2 commentary tracks. You have one with Charles Roxburgh, Matt Farley, Tom Scalzo, and Justin Decloux moderating, and Justin's a great moderator for these guys. He really is friendly with them, and they all like each other, and they just have a good time. So that's a good track. And then there's another podcast commentary Charlie Roxburgh and Matt Farley did, I think for their Shock Marathons podcast or YouTube channel years ago. So you get 2 commentary tracks, both fun, both entertaining, both insightful. And then you get the making of Freaky Farley, which is about 30 minutes, and it's behind-the-scenes footage of the Moturn gang sort of making the movie, and then interviews with the cast and crew. And it's very cool stuff. Like, I love to see them making their movies. It's neat to see how they did it. They've done it in many different formats and styles, and it's just a fun group. I just like to hang out with them. I think that's part of the draw of their movies. So that's the next thing. Then you have deleted scenes. You have one deleted scene of Farley trying to do stand-up in a coffee house. You have the restoration of Freaky, which is almost 30 minutes as well, and it's Justin Decloux interviewing Charlie Roxburgh about the shooting of the film, and then the restoration of the footage is sort of showing as you hear the interview. You're seeing that, and that's equally interesting. Neat to hear Roxburgh talking about the specifics of, what kind of film stock they used and all that stuff. So I enjoyed that. And then you have the Shock Marathon's Inspirations of Farley, which is 48 minutes. And this is a 4-way Zoom call with Justin Decloux talking to Matt Farley, Charlie Roxburgh, and Tom Scalzo again about what films and even seasons have inspired them. And it's like a cool podcast chat. It's a great conversation between all 4 of these guys, and they are a lot of fun, to listen to them talk. And again, Justin just loves hanging out with these guys, and I do too. It's just a super blast to hear them talking about inspirations and things. So that's great. A look back with Kevin McGee is actor Kevin McGee, who plays the dad in the film, and it's Roxburgh and Farley talking to him, and so he gives his memories of making the film way back in 2007. And then there's the Alamo premiere, which is Freaky Farley plays the Alamo Draft House in New York City, and we see Matt Farley and Charlie Roxburgh traveling to New York, showing up at the theater. We get to see a little bit of it playing in the theater and stuff like that. It's pretty cute. But the highlight for me, which I didn't expect, is this extra feature that's included, and that is Adventures in Cruben Country from 2002, which I had this whole theory worked out, and it turns out in the introduction to this, because this extra feature has an introduction with Matt Farley and Charlie Roxburgh, as well as a commentary with them, and I want to say Justin's on that commentary as well. But my theory was that Charlie Roxburgh was doing more of the genre-based stuff, the Don't Let the River Beast Get Shoes kind of movies, and that, Farley was doing these more character-driven pieces, and Local Legends was certainly that. And I mean, if I think about it, really, there's definitely other character-driven pieces that are directed by Roxburgh. So this theory falls apart very quickly, but even more quickly when I realized that in the introduction, Matt Farley almost right away says, I was credited as director on this, but actually Charlie pretty much directed it. And I was like, oh, okay. So I had this whole theory. I'm like, oh, I want to see more of the Farley directed stuff. Not that I have any problem with the Roxburgh directed stuff. I like that stuff great. But I was like, oh, I like these quirky character dramas. And so this one, Adventures in Cruben Country, was just my kind of quirky. It's about Matt Farley plays Matt Farley, who's the young mayor of this small town called Thomasville. And he has these interesting ideas for being mayor. He wears the same outfit every day. He addresses the town over the radio in the morning. He has a special day off policy where once a month he gets to determine that school is out and people are off their jobs for one day a month, and he will surprise people at the beginning of the day in his announcement and say, like, today's the day, and that happens. And so that's one of his policies, but he wants to put a basketball hoop on every corner. He wants to take the sewer system and make it into a pedestrian subway. That's like a big talking point for him. Because he thinks it'll be a great thing, and it's actually a plot point in the movie. He also wants to develop this Cruben Country area, which we find is overrun by druids, and that becomes a whole thing, and that's bizarre. But anyway, it's quirky and silly and funny, and the conviction with the way that, again, that Farley delivers some of this quirky dialogue, and he and Roxburgh are partners. He's the assistant to the mayor, Roxburgh is, and so they're fun together. They have little, conversations that almost feel improvised. And so anyway, totally dug that as a special feature and the commentary, and made me want to seek out other Farley movies directed by Farley. So there's one or two others I haven't seen. Druid Gladiator Clone, I think, is his, and that's on one of these discs. And then there's one called Obtuse Todd, which is on Local Legends, which I want to watch as well. But like I said, overall, an incredibly extra heavy package, and something really put together with a lot of care. And if you like Moturn, and you should, this is going to be right up your alley. It's a really nice package and a nice looking restoration of Freaky Farley. So that is that. And the other feature is called Honeycomb. And this is a brand new movie from 2022, directed by a 22-year-old woman named Avalon Fast. She made it for, I think she said, somewhere between $3,000 and $4,000. It's shot on digital, and it's about a group of girls that find this abandoned house / cabin in the woods, and they all decide to move in. Sort of pull up stakes from society and go and separate themselves and hang out there and invite these boys over, but blindfolded them when they bring them so they can't find their way back. And it becomes sort of a, Lord of the Flies kind of thing. And I've heard in other reviews, I've seen the Yellow Jackets comparison, which is very apt, because one of the things that they have is they institute these rules. And one of the rules is that you are allowed to exact, quote, suitable revenge on any of the other girls if they wrong you in some way. And so that becomes sort of a thing where there are some of the girls that wrong each other and they punish each other, and it gets kind of dark, and there's just a general sense of dread. There's some creepy music that plays throughout, and so there's a sense of dread that hangs over the movie in this interesting way. But there's also this group of skater rock band boys that, like I said, they come out to the place, and it's got some really interesting naturalistic dialogue scenes with the boys, especially, who almost feel like they're just having a conversation when I know it's probably scripted. But the girls have that to a degree too, but some of their dialogue is a little more stylized. I would say there are a few moments that play a tiny bit pretentious, but overall the interactions feel fairly grounded and real. And it's, pretty impressive for a $3,000 or $4,000 feature made by a 22-year-old. It's got some interesting moments, and the acting, I don't know if they're real actors. I'm guessing not, but they come off okay. A little stilted in parts, but really intriguing movie. Definitely stick around to the very end because there's some outtakes, some fun outtakes at the very end after the credits. And this one also, like again with the other features, it has some nice supplements. It has a commentary track with writer-director Avalon Fast and the cast. It has an interview with writer-director Avalon Fast. It's about 22 minutes, and that's Justin DeClue interviewing her. And she talks about making movies with cat videos, and then learning to edit. And then he gets into the specifics of like this production and, what was involved in making it and the logistics of it all in terms of their location and how they shot things. And it's cool to hear it broken down, especially because it's a low budget movie. There's a blooper section, which is super fun. And then there's two other short films by Avalon Fast. One called Night Trouble, that's about 18 minutes. And the other called Violets in Bloom in April. Also, that's about 22 minutes. And Night Trouble both of them have a lot of the cast folks from Honeycomb. Violets in Bloom is more high school based, and Night Trouble is more outside/neighborhood based, it seems like. But I'm not going to give away what those are like. Those are enjoyable to watch, and I like it when a Blu-ray includes short films from the director we're watching the feature from. So definitely an intriguing film from Avalon Fast, and I'm very curious to see what else she will do in the future. But I'm also, psyched that Gold Ninja is fostering this kind of low-budget film and young filmmakers and really giving them a nice platform for what they're doing. And so I dig that. These are films that might not get picked up otherwise, and so I dig that Justin's on board with that. So anyway, check out some Moturn Blu-rays, your Metal Detector Maniac, your River Beast, your Local Legends, and now Freaky Farley. And check out Honeycomb. GoldNinjaVideo.com. They are definitely worth your time, folks. So watch and enjoy some very cool movies that I don't think you would really find on another Blu-ray label. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.